Good afternoon and welcome to BizTech's Asian Midday Market Watch. Our guest today is Lee Kian Soon, CEO of Astral Asset Management, who is coming out of Singapore. Kian Soon, as always, great to have you on the show.
A very good afternoon.
Now, Kian Soon, before we come back to you and get your insights, let's take a look at how regional stock markets have been performing, and then we'll take a look at how cryptocurrencies as well are performing. We start with cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin is at 18,998. It's down 1.7%. Ethereum is at 1,335. It's down 1.53%. Now, looking across the regional stock exchanges, the SGX is unchanged. Bursa Malaysia is down 0.53%. Shanghai is down 0.56%. The ASX All Ordinaries is down 1.59%. The Nikkei is down 1.26%. The Hang Seng is down 1.73%, and rounding up the numbers, we've got the Kospi, which is down 1.04%. A sea of red across the region. Kian Soon, tell us why.
I think it's not hardly surprising. We have a negative handover from Wall Street this morning, and this is in reaction to the Fed meeting that is taking place, and the investors are all anxious, to find out what's going to be, the outcome of the rate hike this evening.
And so here's the dilemma again for investors, isn't it? From the Fed messaging, it seems to be that 75 basis points is pretty much baked in. But then there's also market expectation of as much as 100 basis point rate increase. What's your view on this? And how is this going to impact savers and borrowers?
I think following the last Fed announcements, the market, as you mentioned, has already prepared mentally that the 75 basis point is foregone conclusion until there's even more hawkish calls for 100 basis point, and the market is pricing that at 20% or around 20% probability that this would happen. And if 75 basis point is announced tonight, I think it's all expected. I think the market might react differently if 100 basis point is announced later. So in terms of the implications, I think rising interest rates environment is not always unfavorable for borrowers, especially borrowers who have borrowed on a floating rate mechanisms. All kinds of debts, right? As interest rate rise, your financing cost is expected to rise, and this will hit, for most retail investors, will definitely hit, your home loans as you have to pay more for your monthly mortgages payments. I think for savers, it's actually a wonderful period of time because for every month you get more announcements or more better fixed deposits offerings, as well as if you look at just the government bonds or government treasuries, US treasuries, the interest rates is rising. So you, as a saver, you actually get more interest and more coupons. So that's a good news for most savers.
So then what is the impact going to be on other asset classes and sectors? So point being, for example, the risk reward ratio changes with equities and REITs in particular.
That's correct. There's a big implications because previously when interest rate was hovering around 0%, and if you are holding on to REITs at 4 to 5%, you find that risk reward attractive. Therefore, as investors, you definitely allocate a part of your portfolio into this income producing product equities like REITs you mentioned. But currently, if the interest rate has rose from 0 to 3 to 4% per annum, you might find that the returns from REITs not that favorable relatively, compared to your fixed deposit. And as a result, right, investors will be expecting more yield or dividend yield from REITs, let's say in the region of 6 to 8%. And as a result, you expect that the prices of REITs to be affected over the midterm as interest rate continue to rise. Not to forget, rising interest rates also means that most of the REITs will have to pay more financing costs, which also will affect their performance.
Now then, as an Asian investor, how should we position ourselves in terms of sectors that we want to invest in? So obviously commodities is something, particularly things like lithium, are probably things that we want to get into.
Okay, so Asian markets have been very badly affected in 2022. If you are looking at equities, MSCI Asia has declined by around, or more than 20% year to date. So this has been, affecting a lot of investors' sentiments. Because having 20% of your net worth wiped off if you invest in Asia, right? Like an MSCI index is actually a huge, a huge emotional drain. In terms of sectors, the sectors that have performed better this year, if you look at it, is actually the commodity sectors, like you mentioned, energy sectors, as well as even the healthcare sectors continues to perform well. Right. Going forward, I think investors should take a more defensive position, given that you expect interest rates to continue to rise, inflation woes is not going to go away. Most businesses will be affected. So my suggestion is to look at sectors that are very defensive and could pass rising costs to customers. By doing that, the business will continue to maintain their margins. And not be affected by the declining margins as a result of rising costs.
Yeah, Kian Soon, as always, thank you very much for coming on the show.
My pleasure.
Now, we've been speaking to Lee Kian Soon, CEO of Astral Asset Management out of Singapore, on BizTech's Asian Midday Market Watch. I'm Brian Fernandez. This show will be on our website, www.biztech.asia, as well as our social media platforms. It will also be on our syndication partners, TV stations, radio stations, and websites. Thank you very much for tuning in.